is only one perfect solution, but there are clues that will try to trick our team.
Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb and welcome to Simon Stacks. So this is the way the module looks. We're going to have a flashing bunch of hexagons on the module in a series of different colors, which in this case include red, green, blue, and yellow. So now, what our goal is obviously like any normal Simon module, our goal is to figure out what we have to input back into the module based off of this flash, and that's what we're going to be doing with this module. Now, this module is a little bit interesting with the way that this works. So what's going to happen is that we need to figure out a stage of solution, and that's going to be based off of some of the hexagon flashing here. So, what's going to be happening is that some hexagons are going to flash, and a single color will be shown in the hexagons. In this case, that color will be blue. Alarm, forgot about that. So some of the hexagons will be blue, so in this case we're going to mark blue as our column in this case. Now we're going to be doing something with this in just a second, and what's going to happen is that the module's flashed pattern is the result of XORing anywhere from 1 to 8 patterns in the flashed column of table hex. So what's going to be happening here is that our goal for right now, for the first part of this module, is to figure out how to essentially recreate this flash right here on the module based off of this flashed column here, and we can use 1 to 8 of one or all of these flashes here. Our goal is to figure out the flashes that give us the solution based off of the XORing logic that we use. Now, XORing, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is essentially there has to be exactly one flash in a specific spot. But in this case, the way that it essentially works is, say for example, we have this one, and let's do this one right down here. So we have, for example, we did you and you, for example, these together. So now what would happen is that I would put this first one down. I've already done this one right here. And what would happen is that everything that we have in this little area here, we essentially are going to fill over. So we get these guys in. Now these four are essentially going to be toggled off. That's the way that this kind of works. It's a pretty straightforward concept. It's not too hard to understand. And based off of this one, this actually looks like a really simple one. You can get some very nasty ones, which will take a lot of brute force and guessing and checking. But in this case, we actually happen to start with a good example here. But that's essentially the way that this is going to work, is that each of these might be laid on top of each other because of the fact that we're trying to get the solution here. We're trying to get the stuff that could have potentially flashed to get our solution. And then let's figure this out first. So what we need to do is we need to figure out the ones that are in the flash column. So let's try and recreate this pattern. So I believe what could happen is it could be you, and it could actually be you. I believe it could be both of you guys together. And if we take a look, let's try and figure this out. Now the other possibility that could be happening here is, I believe that there is one more possibility that could be flashing here. Because if we take a look, if we try and put both these guys in, so let's do that. So let's put you first, and then let's put you in right here. So let's do 1, 2, right here. Now this middle one toggles off because both of them happen to have it right here, and now we're very close to it. But what we need to do is we need to find out how to get these guys just be alone by themselves. And then here is this flash that comes into place here. This guy right here. This is what we're going to use right here. And all we simply need to do is we need to turn all of these guys off right here. Bam, 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 bam. It doesn't include the middle one. And just like that, we have our flash. We have our same flash as the one that is on the module right here. Good. So now, what we're essentially going to do is with this information, we have this flash, and this flash. This was a very simple one, by the way. You can get some very nasty ones, trust me. And by the way, if I didn't mention it already, the filled hexes represent 1, and the outlined hexes represent 0. So in this case, the white ones are the zeros, the filled hexes are the 1s. In this case, essentially binary. It should be pretty straightforward what it has to do. So, using the color of the hexagon, using the color of the shown on the hexagon as the column, obtain cells within that column in the same rows as the flashed column, and XOR all of the obtained cells patterns to obtain the solution pattern. So what's going to be happening here is that I have all of these rows highlighted here, and all of these intersections need to match up here. And essentially what we're going to do is I'm going to be using this right grid over here. This is the interactive, by the way. And I'm essentially going to be plugging all of these guys in and XORing every single pattern that we have. Or essentially, if we happen to get a same position, we're simply going to be toggling you on or off, respectively. So now, let's take a look at this first one here. So we have Now, of course, you can read this on the diffuser side based off of the alpha position. So like alpha 2, alpha 3, Bravo 1, Charlie 1, Charlie 5, then Echo 4, Delta 4, then Echo 1, 2, something like that, whenever you happen to submit in the module. Then we're going to do alpha 2, alpha 3, boom, boom, and then bum, bum. Okay, so that first pattern has been inputted in here. So now, next up, we're gonna build this pattern on top of it right here, this guy right here. So now what's gonna happen is that we're gonna have a bit of an interesting pattern here. So we're gonna have alpha 2, Bravo 1, Bravo 2, Bravo 4, Charlie 1, Charlie 4, Delta 2, Echo 1, Echo 3. Okay, so now alpha 2 currently has a spot placed in it already. So this means that we're simply just going to turn it off because of the fact that we want to place a spot there, just like that. And then we're gonna do U, then U, and then finally U. Okay, and then finally for this last one here, we have a bit. It's almost like a wave essentially, or like a water, for example. So now we're gonna start from alpha 1 and essentially do a wave right here. So we're gonna do U. And then next one, we're going to do the exact same pattern, just 2 spaces lower. And now, after we're done XORing all of these guys here, or basically just toggling them on and off, we are now going to submit this pattern into the module while keeping this for later stages. Okay. Now, how exactly do we submit this module? To begin the submission, we're going to press the background at which the flashing will stop. So in this case, let's do that. And just like that, if you hear that little sound, that means it's ready for submission. And then we're going to press the hexes to form the solution pattern to obtain the procedure above. And then finally, we're going to press the background one more time to submit the current pattern. If the submitted pattern is incorrect, the module will strike. Otherwise, the module will advance to the next stage. And there's going to be 3 to 5 stages to solve this module, so it can take a little while to do. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to submit this guy into the module. So let's do that. Alpha 1, we have Bravo 1, we have Charlie 2, 5. Then we have all of Delta, and then we have Echo 1, 2. And we hit the background again, and just like that sound that you hear is good. And now the sounds will start playing with this module as well. So now, what we have here is a little bit of a nastier one. We're gonna keep this for later uses here, but we're gonna be focusing on this grid here, and we're gonna try and recreate this solution right now. This one's gonna be a little bit interesting, I will say. This one's definitely going to be a lot more trickier to get. Now, I have a hunch, and I believe that we're going to be using at least this little top right section over here in some way, shape, or form. The question is how. And this is also going to be yellow. It's not going to necessarily be the exact same color every single time. Keep that in mind. So now, let's take a look and see what we need to do. This is where kind of things can get a little bit tricky here. So some of the key indicators of where you're going to be able to essentially use some of these spots is because there are only going to be some corners of which you can reach based off of one position. For example, this guy right here can only be reached by this flash or this outer flash right here. So it's either going to be one of these two that's going to toggle them on or off. So we're only going to be using exactly one of these two. Keep that in mind. And now, what I could potentially believe is that we could potentially be looking at something like, how do I describe it? So we could actually be looking not at this, but rather we could be looking at something like this. Where's the other pattern? U, for example. And then the toggling of the outer ring completely, essentially. The question is, what do I need to do with this? So let's take a look. So now I believe this is going to be involved as well. This one's going to be involved. Let's see what this gives for us. We have you guys right here, and let's try and build off of this essentially. So now we have this little bit right here that we built right now, and then we need to build the outer ring. So let's do that, toggling everything on and off essentially. I believe I did that one. I did not do that one. And now, what I could potentially do from here is I could potentially do the topmost area, because we need to get rid of these two flashes at the top, and that's going to be able to get us rid of right here, these two guys up here. So let's try and do that. So let's do you, and then you. Now, this does cause problems for us, but we should be able to solve this pretty straightforward, I think. Now, this also does mean that we need to get rid of these bottom flashes down here. So I believe we're going to be using the bottom flash, the bottommost flash right down here. Okay, so now let's toggle these guys right over here. Okay, and now, if I do everything correctly, we should be able to do just the center ring right here, and that should be able to get us our flash. And just like that, we have our flash. All of these flashes combined does give us the flashes that we need to get to yellow. So now, what we're going to do is, with this color in mind, we're going to take the intersections of each of these rows and column, and what we're going to essentially do is we're going to toggle each of these black spots over these guys, essentially. This is where the building off process comes for it, and we're essentially going to be repeating the steps with using these added flashes. So now, we have alpha 1, 2, Charlie 4, 5, Delta 1, 2, Alpha 1, 2, Charlie 4, 5, and then Delta 1, 2, and that's it for that one. It's a pretty straightforward one. And then we have this one. I guess I would call it like either like the duck foot or something like that. This one's more of an arrow or a pickaxe. This one just looks more like a duck foot. So now we're gonna do U2 at the bottom, and then we're gonna do this entire little diamond right here. So we're gonna do U, 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 and U. Okay. Then next up, we have a perfect X. Now, there can be an example of a non-perfect X. It's very important that you make sure that it's specified. Where is that example? Right here, for example. There is exactly one spot that is different, which that's in the dead center right there. So, just keep that in mind. So now we're going to do U, 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 skipping over the center for this side right here. Okay. Then, next up, we have this one's going to be 5 individual spaces, so it's going to be right here, center, and then delta 1 and echo 3. And then finally these guys right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do alpha 2, alpha 3, bravo 1, bravo 4. So let's do alpha 2, alpha 3, bravo 1, bravo 4. Remembering that we're going to be toggling everything that has a spot on it. Then dead center, and then just essentially flip that. So dead center, U2, and then U2. And just like that, everything has been toggled. All these stages have been inputted, and now this is going to be our new sequence that we're going to submit into the module. So let's hit the background, and we're going to hit U, 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 and U, and U. And just like that, that's good so far. Now, this is going to be definitely another interesting one. So now we're taking a look at the green column here for this flash. And let's take a look at what we need to do for this one here. Hopefully, this could be our last stage right here. Of course, I can't make any promises. This one. Now, taking a look at that topmost LED right there, that means that we're going to have to do something with U, I believe, based off of my hunch, of course. Now, also there is also the possibility of, for example, we actually don't have anything to do with this, and there is also the possibility of having to use this outer ring. This outer ring is going to be a very common one that you will find yourself using more often than not. So let's take a look and let's see what we need to do for this one here. This one is a very tricky one, I will say. This one does cover, the nice thing about this one is that it does cover this bottom area. And if I were to say use these guys right here, U, U, and U, a better example would be U and a U, it would essentially toggle these guys off, these 3 spaces off, and these 3 as well. But the question is, how exactly do I get these 2 guys to be toggled right here? That's what I'm mainly concerned about. These are the ones that concern me. So for example, let's plug all these guys in. So let's reset our grid here. Now remember, the only thing that we're going to be saving is we're going to be saving the stuff that we inputted, and that's what we're going to be applying here. Every stage we're essentially going to be doing a new grid on the left side here to try and figure out our flashes or inputs. So in this case, let's put you guys in right here, and then let's put you guys in right here, toggling those middle guys. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the outer ring now at this point. So now let's do the outer ring starting from north, going counterclockwise. Oh, I guess that actually just did give me the solution. I totally overthought that. And just like that, these 3 positions combined together give me what I need on the module. Remember, we're trying to find the flashes that give us the solution or the flash on the module. Now, of course, this can be a little bit of a brute force technique, but in some cases, there are going to be cases where you obviously can tell based off of where these flashes are, especially these little corner pieces. These corner pieces are going to help you and figure out a lot. So that's going to be essentially what you're going to use here. But of course, there's the possibility of the outer ring kind of coming to screw it up, so just be careful with that and just think about that. So now we have our flashes that we figured out here. So now what we need to do is we need to figure out what our toggles are. So let's take a look. So we have this one here. So we have alpha 1 2 Bravo 2. So alpha 1 2 Bravo 2. Then we have Charlie 3 2 5. Okay. Then we have Delta 1 2 4. 1 2 4. Okay. And then Echo 1. All right. That's our first one taken care of. This one is the X without the dead center, so let's do U, and U. Okay. And then we have 5 individual squares. It's going to be Bravo 2, these 3 guys right there. And then we have, that's it actually, perfect. And this is going to be our submission for the stage. Now, hopefully all has been said and done correctly, and the RNG gods are going to be generous for me today, that it will be 3 stages. But knowing me, it will never be 3 stages. Now let's highlight all of these guys, mark them in the white pattern instead of gray. Let's hit the submit button. And just like that is a solved module. Let's go over one more example. This module is a little bit tricky to understand and get your head wrapped around, but it is a straightforward concept of what it asks you to do. So it's essentially just finding the patterns that are built on top of each other can be very tricky to do. But with enough learning of how these patterns essentially work, you will be able to do this module just fine. Just also make sure my voice is recording. That's good. So that's what's the trick about this module. It is really nice. I quite enjoy it a lot. I definitely enjoy that sort of logical aspect in it, and it's very fun to do. I like the concept. So let's take a look at one last example. And I'm going to go through this a little bit faster. Hopefully by now you understand how the XOR essentially works. Because essentially what you're going to do is you're essentially just toggling it on or off. It's that straightforward. It's no need to do any sort of big logic. It's just essentially just the way that works. Okay, this is going to be an interesting one, definitely. Let's see what this one's like. So this one actually could just be straight up U, U, and U. I believe that this is going to be that one. So it's going to be right here, this flash up at the top. This is going to be down in the bottom right, and then we have down in the bottom left. I believe it's quite literally these 3 flashes. Now let's make sure, of course. So let's plug this guy first in right here. So it's going to be U. And then let's plug U down here in. U, 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 and U. Okay, and then let's plug U down here in. Boom, 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 boom. And just like that, we already have this stage done. So this is going to be blue, and this is a completely fresh new module, so this is what we're going to be doing here. So let's recreate this pattern right now. So let's do U, 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 U. Good thing we're getting this big guy out of the way early. That's perfect. Okay. Then we're going to be XORing all of these individual spots right here. So alpha 2, alpha 3. Bam, bam. Then Bravo 1. Then Charlie 1, Charlie 5. Bravo 1, Charlie 1, Charlie 5. And then Delta 4. And then Echo 1, 2. Okay. Then next up we have Alpha 2, Bravo 3. Alpha 2, Bravo 3. Charlie 1, Charlie 2. And then Delta 3, Echo 2. Delta 3, Echo 2. Okay. And that's going to be it for this stage. Perfect. So now all we have to do is simply submit this guy into the module. Background. Okay. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you happen to double tap a space, it can obviously turn off. So now let's just make sure that we don't hit the background at all, because that will accidentally submit it. You can, of course, turn something off if you happen to mess up somewhere along the lines. Just make sure that you're with your expert that you happen to essentially be submitting. So just be careful with that. Doesn't explicitly state that in the manual. It's just one thing important thing to note is that you can toggle it off, though of course it would be best to do it perfectly. So yeah, so now let's hit the submit button, and just like that, that's good so far. Now this is another easy example here. So I believe if we take a look, so this is going to be a color green. First things first. This should be the topmost one, I believe, and the bottom leftmost. I believe that those should just go perfectly together right there. So now if we take a look, topmost hexagon right here, and then the bottom leftmost, so we'll do U, toggling U2 off. Yeah, just like that, that's perfect. So it's only going to be these 2 guys right here. Okay, and now with these flashes, and it's going to be the color green, we're going to be doing sort of the the rotated wave essentially. So we're going to go alpha 1, alpha 2, bam. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with Charlie 1, Charlie 2, delta 2, echo 2, echo 3. Okay, and then we're going to just essentially do a straight line from alpha 3 to echo 1. Bam, 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 bam. Okay, perfect. And just like that, we are done with this stage. Note that it can be just a range of 1 to 8, so anything can possibly happen. So it can actually just be a hexagon sometimes, which is actually rather quite a nice case. In this case, this is another easy one that we can do here. So now, let's take a look. So we have you, and you, and you. So now let's submit them back since it's Okay, and now we're on the third stage. Alright, so yellow. Yellow is going to be involved in this one here, right here. And if you'll excuse me for just 1 second, my dog wants out, and I will be right back. Alright, apologies, I'm back. So now, let's get back to this example here. So now, this one we want to create with yellow. Taking a look at this flash, this one actually might just be with these topmost two. I'm not quite sure what else there could be involved here. There shouldn't be much involved, that's for sure. Let's take a look. Those two at the bottom might make things a little bit interesting, which means we might be using the ring, the inner ring here essentially. But let's take a look. So we have perhaps the top one, and perhaps we have the top left one. Let's take a look. Where's the top left? Right there. So now let's do the top and the top left. So let's do you guys right here, and let's do the top left right over here. Bam, 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 bam. Okay. Now, if we happen to do the inner ring, which in this case, let's do that. So let's do you, and you. Just like that, we have our sequence created. That was another fairly simple one that you can figure out. The way that I figured this out was I essentially took a look at the stuff that is going to be in some of the more guaranteed spots. In this case, it wasn't all over the module, essentially. There wasn't much on the bottom or the bottom right, so I pretty much excluded the possibility of using the outer ring for essentially toggling stuff on and off. And taking a look, especially this top left one and this top one right here, the very northmost one, can only be flashed at this specific spot in these normal hexagons. Same thing with the top left. This can only be toggled with this hexagon in the top left. The only other possibility is, of course, the outer ring, but in this case, we didn't really need to use the outer ring because there's not much else in that outer ring itself. So that was essentially my biggest clue that helped me there, and I just used the middle ring here to fix anything that we needed to right there. So now let's take a look and let's see what we need to toggle for this stage. So now yellow is going to be toggling U2, U2, and U2. So let's do that. Let's actually zoom out a little bit better to make sure you guys can see both examples. Actually, that's not going to help me at all. Oh, maybe this could actually help me a little bit. So hopefully you guys can see those little black squares. This is what we're essentially going to be toggling for each of these stages here. You, and you and you. Okay. Then next up, we have essentially like these two arrows pointing in both the southwest and northeast directions. So you, and you. Okay. And then we have the exact same case, except we're going to be adding two to the north here. Two to the northwest and southeast. So we're going to do that again. Bam, 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 bam. While adding these two guys to the north and northwest and southeast. And just like that, all of our flashes have been complete. And this is essentially where we're going to be submitting it to the module. Note that it's not going to be pretty at all. It's not going to be perfect because of the fact that some of these shapes are definitely a little bit weird. That's for sure. So let's get into the module, and hopefully we can solve this module, but of course it's not very likely. That was pure luck last time. Highlight U3, let's get U3, let's get U, and let's get U and U. Okay, let's submit the module. Oh, and just like that, it happens to be another submitted module. So as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.